Greetings aspirants, welcome to Narayana IAS. This is Karthik Muni, I'm here for Daily News Analysis. For today's session, I have picked up 6 articles from Hindu as well as Indian Express. The first article is related to the recent issue of tunnel collapse and the issues related to the Chardham project. And second article is related to the decentralized autonomous organization, which is the role of technology in enhancing the governance. Third article is about India's preparedness on anti-terrorist activities after 26/11 attack. And fourth article is about bringing all India judicial service. And fifth article is about facts related to India's NDC commitments. And finally, we are going to discuss a prelims article related to special mention accounts. Coming to the first article, we have Molding the Himalayas Need Caution. This article is taken from the Hindu editorial. Exam point of view, we can expect some direct prelims questions from Chardham project and also environmental impact assessment. And also in the mains examination, we can expect some analysis question related to environmental impact assessment, and also we can expect some question related to developmental projects and its impacts in the Himalayan region. We also had a similar questions in this area. In 2020, there was a question, how does the draft environmental impact assessment notification which came in 2020 is different from the existing notification which came in 2006. So this was the question asked in 2020, and also there was a question in 2014. In 2014, they asked a specific question. So discuss the environmental impacts of coal-fired thermal power plants located at coal pit heads. A specific question was asked in 2014. So we are also expecting some similar question in the upcoming examination. That's why we are discussing this article. Moving to the context, recently an under construction tunnel near Silkiara in Uttarkasi district had collapsed recently. In this tunnel collapse, around 41 workers got trapped inside. So in the context of this incident, we are going to discuss about the environmental impacts of developmental projects, and also we are going to discuss what are the things which we want to consider while executing such developmental projects in the environmentally sensitive zones. First, we have to know about the project, the Chardham Mahamarg Vikas Pariyojana. The objective of the project is to have massive infrastructure and connectivity. So the primarily focused on building the road network to connect 4 important Hindu pilgrimage sites. So they wanted to connect Yamunotri, Gangotri, Badrinath and Kedarnath. So here in 2013, there was a devastated flood in Uttarakhand and it washed all the road connectivity. So in order to revamp such devastating flood, devastating impacts on road infrastructure, the government of India, the union government came up with a project in 2016 named Chardham Mahamarg Vikas Pariyojana. In this project, they wanted to connect all 4 pilgrimage centers, Gangotri, Yamunotri, Badrinath and Kedarnath. So here we have to highlight few issues, and especially in 2013, we faced some of the catastrophe related to this project in 2023 itself, right? So recently we are facing the trouble of tunnel collapse in Uttarkasi, and also 2 months back we faced the problem of landslide in Chamoli district, and also we are facing the problem of land sinking and road carving near Joshimath and Chamba. So particular to this project, we are experiencing disaster, that too human-induced disaster. So these issues has to be taken care while considering the projects. So these things has to be considered while implementing the project. So here we have to find the reason why the project is experiencing such catastrophe in the Himalayan region. So coming to the reason, so there is a huge lapse in the project. So first thing is that the project bypassed the environmental impact assessment. So we already had a legislation in 2006 to conduct a proper detailed environmental impact assessment for the projects, especially when it comes to the road projects. We have to conduct a proper detailed impact assessment. So there is a condition that if a project is having a length of more than 100 kilometers, this environmental impact assessment is mandatory. So now coming to the Chadam project, the length of the project is 900 kilometers. So in order to bypass this environmental impact assessment legislation, they broken down the project into 53 sub-projects so that the individual project won't go beyond the limit, that is 100 kilometers. So in this aspect, they bypass this regulation. They bypass the environmental impact assessment. So that is the first problem. Second thing is that it doesn't follow the standards prescribed in the national highways, especially for hills and mountain regions. So as per these standards, so we want to construct the roads that is intermediate lanes of width 5.5 meter. But here the government came up with a different plan. They wanted to have a width of 7 meter. They wanted to construct a double lane with paved shoulders. So DLPS. They wanted to construct a road with DLPS facility. So for that we need more width. So here the government also bypassed, not followed the standards given in the national highway in considering in constructing the roads in hills and mountain regions. Here I have to highlight another important event. In 2018, the judiciary came and it intervened into this picture, and the Nariman, Supreme Court Judge Nariman directed the government to implement the project as it is given in the notification. And also he wanted the government to implement this project prospectively and retrospectively. They wanted to implement the guidelines and the commitment given in the notification prospectively and also retrospectively. But government responded in a different way. So government responded that this width is needed because of the security reasons. So this was the response given by the union governments for the judicial pronouncements. So here we can able to find the huge lapse of regulation in this project. So that's why we are facing the current and previous troubles. Now we have to know about what needs to be done. So here I am going to highlight two aspects. One is the impact of the projects on environment, and also we have to think from the perspective that impact of the environments on projects. So two dimension has to be considered while executing such developmental projects in the environmentally sensitive regions, right? The first aspect is that, so why we want to consider the impact of the project on environment? Because we have to ensure that the impact is within the limit of carrying capacity of the particular region. So that we have to ensure. So for that criteria, we are insisting more on considering the impact of the project on environment. So, and also here we need to ensure two things, that the cumulative impact assessment. We have to, so the impact, the word which I meant is to consider the cumulative impacts of the particular project. Especially when we consider the aspect from the current Chadam project. So we broke down the project into 53 small projects. So there is a possibility that misrepresentation is possible, that the impact which is creating will be comparatively less. So here we have to know that this cumulative impact which I meant is to consider the impact of the entire 900 kilometer of the total projects. So then only we can able to get the actual picture. And also here the impact has to be considered in all the dimensions. So impact on all the natural resources, like impact on air, impact on water, and also impact on land, and also impact on glacier. So likewise, we have to consider the impact on all the aspects of natural resources. So then only the project will be viable. And second aspect, we have to consider, or we have to come up with a comprehensive carrying capacity assessment. So as of now, we are considering the carrying capacity from the number of persons which it can carry from the particular location. So that is what we are considering. Here, we have to think from the different perspectives. Apart from the number of population, we have to think from the perspective that the extent of infrastructure it can hold, and also we have to think from the perspective of tourism. So those aspects has to be considered while considering or assessing the carrying capacity of the region. Yes, we need to assess the impact properly, and also the impact of the particular project should be below the carrying capacity of the region. So one dimension we have to assess these things, and on the other dimension, that is impacts of environment on projects. That is also very much important, because recently the Tista river flooding washed away the barrage. So there is a possibility. So in order to think from the perspective, in order to ensure the environmental viability of the project, in order to sustain the project, we have to consider the impact of environment on project. Otherwise, it will not be sustainable. It will be easily washed away, or it will be destroyed by the environmental forces. So this is also important, right? So here, what we have to do is that we have to do the comprehensive geological assessment. So especially when it comes to the Chadam project, we have to think from the stability of the region. So we have to know that this region is highly sensitive in terms of the plate tectonics. The region is highly active in nature, and also specifically this tunnel is very much near to the main thrust boundary, which is highly active in terms of plate tectonics. So there is a higher possibility of having earthquake as well as landslides. So those things has to be studied properly. So in order to sustain the project, in order to ensure the sustainability of the project, we have to do this assessment. So these are the two dimensions which we have to consider while executing the developmental projects in the environmentally sensitive zones, right? And finally, I'm summarizing the needs, what we have to do. So I want to present the idea in two dimensions in conceptualizing, in planning the project. The first thing, so we have to sensitize, the environmental sensitization has to be there while planning the project, while planning the developmental projects. And also we have to strictly follow the legislation or regulations and guidelines given in the environmental impact assessment. So this has to be done properly, and also we have to ensure the implementation of proper correctional measures which is given in the environmental impact assessment. Once the project is approved, the correctional measures also have to be done properly. So that is there, and also we have to limit the scope of the project. What is necessary, that has to be highlighted properly. For example, in the Chadam project, 5.5 meter width is enough, but we are expanding it to 7 meter. So we have to limit the necessity of the project. So that is also there. And finally, the impact of environment on project has to be studied thoroughly for the sustenance of the project. So this is from the point of conceptualizing or planning the project. And second aspect, in executing the project, especially when it comes to the road or tunnel based projects, we have to ensure that strict adherence to the safety protocols has to be maintained. Especially here I want to highlight the Atal tunnel. So in this project is well known for zero mortality. So while executing this project, the company adhered to the strict safety protocols, and because of this reason, there is a zero mortality in executing the complete project. So such mandatory safety protocols has to be ensured in all the projects. That is there. That is the first thing. And also implementation of the project has to be done as per the notification. In the Chadam project, we have changed the specification later. So it was not implemented as per the notification. So even if such changes are needed, that changes has to be scrutinized properly, scrutinized from the aspects of environmental impact that should be done. And also we have to increase the involvement of local community, because local community, the people from this particular local region know the terrain better than anyone. So local involvement should be there. And also we need new legislation by including the international protocol and monitoring protocol. For the implementation of those protocols, we need such legislation. Coming to the next article, we have DAOs, how these decentralized entities are shaping the future of the digital world. So here, exam point of view, we have to know about what is meant by DAO, what are the technologies involved behind this DAO, that we have to know from the prelims point of view. And also mains point of view, we have to think about the aspects of digital governance, how the technology will help in digital governance, right? So previously we had a question, in 2020 there was a question, the emergence of fourth industrial revolution has initiated the e-governance as an integral part of government. Discuss. Yes, in the upcoming examination also we can expect some similar question in both prelims as well as mains examination. So moving to the context, decentralized autonomous organization has the ability to fundamentally alter the landscape of governance. Yes, India is moving towards the digital governance. So right from 2015, we are taking many initiatives on the aspects of digitalization. So in this aspect, the article highlighted the role of a new technology called decentralized autonomous organization in the aspects of governance. So this was highlighted in this article. So based on this context, we are going to discuss about what is meant by DAO, how it functions, and also we have to know what are the significance and what are the issues associated with this particular technology, right? So decentralized autonomous organizations, right? So here, so we have to know about the legal systems. So we know that we have a country as a legal system. We have a state as a legal system. We have a district as a legal system, which means nothing but a governing bodies. So levels of governing bodies. So we can take a company as a legal system. So likewise, these decentralized autonomous organizations are also legal systems, right? So only the difference between the existing traditional legal system and this current technology based legal system is that there is no governing body. For example, when we consider the case of banking as a whole, banking as a legal system, so we have RBI, we have a central governing body to regulate the banking related activities, right? So here, by using this centralized autonomous organization as a legal system or legal structure, it doesn't need any such central governing body. So here, this DAO will function by using the technology called blockchain technology. So here it is very important because it is encoded and it encoded as a computer program. So here it will function in such a way that, so blockchain technology is nothing but a methodology to store the data. So I'll write it here, methodology to store the data. Right? So here the advantage of using this technology is that the manipulation or hampering the data stored is comparatively low. So it is very difficult. If you want to change the data, it is very difficult. Why? Because it is encrypted in nature. Encrypted. And second aspect is that it is stored in all the stakeholders system. So it is stored in all the stakeholder devices. So one aspect, it is encrypted, so it is not able to, it is very difficult to hamper. And other aspect is that it is stored in all the stakeholders devices. So manipulation in one device has to be reflected in all the devices. Then only the change is possible. So it is very difficult. So in this aspect, by using this blockchain technology, we are running this decentralized autonomous organization. Here the advantage is that transparent and it is controlled by the members. And also it is free from government influence. So here I have to highlight few values. So one thing, for the governance point of view, these 4 values are very important. First thing is transparency and accountability. 2 things. Transparency is first thing and accountability is the second thing. So only when the system is transparent, then only we can make the system accountable. So transparency is very important, and then only we can think about the accountability. So transparency and accountability. And third aspect is limiting the government subjective intervention. Subjective intervention, right? And finally, we have to think about the decentralization. So these 4 aspects are possible from this decentralized autonomous organization. So this is about DAO. So here I have to highlight how it's functioning. So here it will be promoted, it will be driven by the smart contracts, right? And also we used to have a codes, so predefined rules will be there. By using or by having these smart contracts or having the codes, predefined codes, so we can ensure the interference from the intermediaries, and also it is self-sustaining in nature because community itself managing, so no need for central governing body. So it will be driven, or it is a community driven entity, and also the trust is ensured through code. Traditionally, for example, I'll take the same example in the banking. The trust is ensured by the apex organization, that is RBI. So we are trusting the entire body because we have the central regulatory body called Reserve Bank of India. So here in this system, the trust is based on the code. So that is how it functions. So this is about the basic details about decentralized autonomous organizations. Now we have to know about the application. Yes, decentralized finance is possible. So we don't want the centralized regulatory like RBI. So what we have to do is we have to feed the code. Okay, what are the mandates which has to be followed in lending or accepting the deposits? Only those code. Smart contract has to be created. By creating such contracts, we can ensure the possibility of decentralized finance. For example, if information about the particular design or intellectual property is stored already, so it is not manipulated, and also it is assessed from the previous records. In this aspect, it can be used in the intellectual property management as well. So next is supply chain management. For example, if a product, the raw material is undergoing value addition from various stages, stage 1, stage 2, something like that, we can able to account all the value addition in a proper fashion. So all the value addition can be accounted in a proper fashion. So in this aspect, we can also use this particular technology in supply chain management. And finally, governance of online communities is also possible, because here the decentralized decision making, because the participants are deciding. So decision making through the participant is also possible, right? And apart from that, we have to know about the significance. It is transparent because it is the decision making is happening through the consensus based aspects. So transparency is there. So verification, accountability is also possible here, and also hierarchical structure is not there. So hierarchy, we have to reduce the role of hierarchy, because if you are having the greater number of hierarchies, greater number of levels, then it will reduce the efficacy of the governance. So in this aspect, this DAO technology will reduce the hierarchy, which means like it will eliminate the hierarchy. So in this aspect, it increases the efficacy of the governance, and also innovation and collaboration is also possible. Yes, hierarchy is not there. So any individual can contribute, he can come up with his own ideas. In this aspect, we can promote the innovative ideas, and we can foster the culture of collaboration is also possible. Increased participation of the stakeholder will also be there. And also community governance, collective community-based, community-driven decision making is also possible by using this DAO technology. Now we have to know about the challenges and controversies. Yes, regulatory uncertainty will be there. So classification and regulation of DAOs, the classifying the DOAs based on the sector. So governance, banking, such classification and then giving or allocating the jurisdiction will be little difficult because interconnected nature of aspects of the jurisdiction is there. So in this aspect, we are facing some trouble, and also dispute resolution is also little. Why? Because in some occasions we have to think from the context of the particular. For example, there is a possibility that allowing giving punishment, like having standard numbers, we have to think from the context. So in order to give or in order to make decisions. So contextual decision making is not possible, and also legality concerns will also be there. So as of now, we don't have any standard legal framework regarding DAOs, and also there is a possibility that DAOs can function in multiple jurisdictions. So the technology itself cross-border in nature. So multiplicity of a jurisdiction will reduce the role or having the uniform framework. That is a problem. And finally, security risk is also there. I already mentioned that the data which is stored, like if we want to change, it is very difficult to change. So whenever we want to fix such changes, whenever we want such changes, it is very difficult to change such contracts, codes, and the data stored in the particular system. So this is the technology related concern that we have to. Coming to the next article, we have tighter intel grid and legal teeth to terror fight. This article I have picked up from the Indian Express from the explained column. Exam point of view, we can expect questions related to India's security concern. We can expect some elaborate comprehensive question in the mains examination, that is possible, and also we can expect question related to Unlawful Activities Prevention Act, National Investigation Agency, Multi-Agency Center, and then National Intelligence Grid, NAT grid, right? So we are expecting prelims as well as mains question in the upcoming examination. We also had a question in 2019 related to this topic. Indian government has recently strengthened anti-terrorism law by amending the Unlawful Activities Prevention Act and NIA Act. Analyze the changes in the context of prevailing security environment while discussing the scope and reason for opposing the recent amendments. So this was the question asked in 2019. So we are also expecting similar question in the upcoming examination as well. That's why we are discussing this article elaborately. So moving to the context. So it has been 15 years after 26/11 attack. So it happened in 2008 in Mumbai. So we acknowledge that there is a security concerns in the aspects of terrorism and also on the aspects of state-sponsored terrorism from Pakistan. And it exposes the ill preparedness of India's security system to combat such asymmetric warfare. Yes, the Pakistan is not directly indulged in attacking the Indian borders. No, it came up with a terrorist activity. That's why we are mentioning it as asymmetrical warfare system. And also this particular 2008 attack exposed that India's preparedness for such terrorist activities. So in the light of this context, we are going to discuss India's measures, the government measures in order to strengthen the agencies and legislations to cope up with such terrorist activities, right? So as a response, we took actions based on 4 lines. One is tightening the maritime security, and also second one, fixing the intelligence loopholes, and also we strengthened the legal framework, and finally we created some special agencies to deal with the terror cases. So maritime security is very important because the intervention, the intrusion happened through the water bodies. So that is the major area. So the lapse in the maritime security was exposed clearly from the 2008 attack. So we strengthened the maritime security aspects, and also we strengthened the intelligence grid. So there is a sheer failure of intelligence gathering regarding the 2008 attack. So it exposes the India's lapses in gathering the intelligence report regarding such terrorist activities. So intelligence activities are very much important when it comes to the combat to terrorist activities, right? And finally, yes, legal framework should be proper, and it should be comprehensive in nature. So comprehensive definitions and interpretations are very much important to tackle such cases. And finally, we need special agencies. So existing machineries are generalistic in nature. We need well-equipped specialized agencies to deal with such terrorist activities. So these are the areas India concentrated. So here I am going to highlight some factual details regarding such interventions, right? So here the Indian government came up with an technological intervention. So automatic and identification system. So it mandated that, the government mandated that every vessel which is having a length more than 20 meters have to fix with the system called automatic identification system. So this is the technological intervention which was taken after this 2008 attack. So in order to increase the maritime security, right? So we know that we are having two major institutions involved in the maritime security. One is Indian Navy, another one is Indian Coast Guard. So Indian Navy was given overall charge of maritime security, and Indian Coast Guard was given responsibility to take the responsibility of territorial waters. So that we have to know. So two agencies are involved, and also we came up with the technological intervention, that is automatic identification system. So in this aspect, the agencies, Indian Navy as well as Indian Coast Guard, can access the movement of such vessels in the territorial waters. So this is the first aspect. Second dimension, fixing the loopholes in the intelligence grid. So already we had a system called multi-agency system. This multi-agency system is to coordinate exchange of intelligence. So the intelligence information will be gathered from several agencies, either by central agencies or armed forces or state police institutions. So these information has to be available to all other agencies, right? So in order to establish a coordination, we created a center called a multi-agency center. Through this center, the coordination between the agencies to increase the access of such intelligence information, right? So it was created initially, even before 2008 attack. But after this 2008 attack, the government take stringent measures to reinvigorate the defense institutions. So next one is strengthening the legal framework related to the terrorism. So first legislation is Unlawful Activities Prevention Act. So this is the primary legislation when it comes to the terrorist related activities. So it is regulating the activities related to not only the terrorism but also insurgency activities and also secessionist activities. So after 2008, it expanded the scope or expanded the definition of terrorism, and also this act increases the authority of enforcement agencies to arrest and detain the persons who are suspected of being involved in terrorist activities without warrant. So in empowering the institutions, first aspect, and second aspect are expanding the definition of terrorism. So we made some changes after 2008 attack, and also we came up with a new legislation, that is National Investigation Agency Act 2008. So we created a specialized agency called a National Investigation Agency to counter exclusive for terrorism, and it deals with investigation of terror related crimes across state without special permission. So as of now, police is a subject under state. So here we are creating a new institution called an NIA. So through this agency, we can intervene into the state to look into the matters related to the terrorism. So we can investigate such cases by using this investigation agency. So next we have to know about the creation of special agencies. So Special Security Guard, it is an elite counter-terrorism force in India. So established in 1984. So after 2008 attack, it established 4 other regional centers so that we can have a easy access to the places across India. So more funds were also allocated by the ministry, Home Ministry, to the state government to modernize the police stations, right? So strengthening the existing machineries within the state, that is one aspect by giving more fund, and second one is creating regional hubs of national security guard. So this is about the creation of specialized agencies. And so next we have to know about the cooperation from the United States and other countries. After this 2011 attack, USA is showing more willingness to support India, especially in terms of terrorist related activities, anti-terror activities. And most importantly, during that incident, it provided the real-time investigation. This information is very useful to gather evidences and also to track the incidents. And apart from that, US also puts Pakistan on Financial Actions Task Force grey list, which forced the country to act against the terrorist groups. So these are the specific interventions taken by the United States in terms of anti-terrorist activities, especially with respect to India. And apart from that, we also received support from all other nations internationally. That is also there. So first thing is that the intelligence sharing by the Gulf countries. So that is very important. So getting information from a Muslim nation is very important. We have to see it in a strategic point of view. And apart from that, we garnered international support during surgical strike operations. So even though this surgical strike operation happened after long time, act responsibly. India maintained its strategic restraint and it doesn't responded with the force against Pakistan during 26/11 attack. This garnered international attention, and because of this reason, international community supported India's surgical strike later, right? So India's response garnered the international support. Yes, we took n number of measures in terms of legislation, in terms of institution, in terms of intelligence, in terms of maritime security, but still there are lapses. The state polices remains inadequate. So the training and the equipment which they are having is inefficient to tackle the problem of terrorism. So that has to be highlighted, because state police machineries will come at the first place for any incident. So that's why we have to strengthen the state police forces. And also tracking of ships is also a little difficult. So existing system is not adequate enough to tackle or to provide maritime security in a full-fledged manner. That is also there. And also many of the India's smaller ship vessels still lacks transponder, which makes them difficult to monitor. So maritime aspects are strengthening the maritime security is still having a problem. So India have to work on those aspects on one line, and also India have to work on strengthening the police machineries within the state. So for that we need a proper coordination between the state and the center. Then only we can able to attain that objective. Coming to the next article, we have the President Murmu calls for judicial service to recruit judges. So exam point of view, we can expect question related to All India Judicial Service, and also we can expect question, some larger question in the mains examination related to judicial reforms. So previously we had a question, critical examination of Supreme Court's judgment on National Judicial Appointment Commission Act 2014 with reference to the appointment of the judges of higher judiciary in India. So we already had a question related to this topic. So we can expect similar question in this section as well. So that's why we are discussing this article. So context of the article is that recently President of India has called for the establishment of All India Judicial Service and also emphasized the role of increased representation from the marginalized section of the society. So first thing is to bring All India service, and also the president wanted to increase the diversity in terms of representation from the socially backward communities. So that is the context of this article. First, we have to know about the All India Judicial Services. So it is a proposed centralized recruitment system for district judges in India. So in which they'll be conducting the exam, the rigorous All India examination will be there, and followed by the allocation of judges to different states will be happening, right? So here it mimic the recruitment of All India services such as IAS and IPS. So similarly, the president is proposing to have such centralized recruitment system for the appointment of district judges. So High Court and Supreme Court, we have a different system for the appointment. We have the collegium system for the appointment. For the district judges appointment, we are relying on the states. So state level, the recruitment is happening, the selection process is happening within the state itself. So here we are expecting for centralized recruitment system. So that is the idea of All India Judicial Services. So objective of the All India Judicial Service is to ensure the uniformity in the selection process, right? We'll be having a uniform standard selection process. So by having such a uniform standard recruitment process, we can ensure the consistency of the recruitment, right? Apart from that, we can able to attract the talents across the India. So as of now, the recruitment is happening within the state. So there is a possibility of attracting more talents from outside the state. So here, by having All India Judicial Services, by having a centralized recruitment system, by conducting competitive exams, we can attract young and bright talents. So that is possible. And next we have to know about the demand, the historical perspective of demand for having All India Judicial Service. It started right from 1950 itself, right? So in 1950, the Law Commission initially proposed All India Judicial Services, and also in the Constitutional Amendment in 1977, it explicitly mentioned about the provisions to have All India Service under Article 312, that is also there. And this demand was supported by many of the Chief Justices and judges in the Supreme Court as well as Law Commission. So Chief Justice conferences which happened in 1961, 1963 and 1965 endorsed the creation of All India Services, and also Law Commission, multiple Law Commission. So 1st, 8th, 11th, even 116th Law Commission report suggested to have such All India Judicial Services. And also the government also took initiative to bring All India Services. The UPI government in 2012 tried to bring All India Services, but it encountered a huge opposition from the High Court judges. So because of this reason, the attempt was dropped in 2012. So this is about the historical perspective of demand for All India Judicial Services. So now we have to know about the arguments in favor of All India Judicial Service. So first one is increasing or enhancing the efficiency and the efficacy. So centralized and standardized and uniform procedure for the recruitment will increases the efficiency and efficacy of the process. And also this efficiency we can bring through such a streamlined process. So as of now, the process is in a regional basis. It is not uniform in nature. Consistency is not there across the states. So here, by bringing or by streamlining the recruitment procedure, we can bring efficiency. That is there. Second one, transparency and efficient recruitment is possible. Here, transparency, we have to relate it by eliminating the regional bias. And also here, we are conducting meritorious examination. By using such meritorious examination, we can able to recruit most qualified candidates from the other states or across the India, that is possible. And also the addressing pendency and delay is possible. So existing system, existing appointment procedure, there is a huge delay, and because of this huge delay, there is a huge pendency in the judicial system. So in order to remove such delay, so this kind of all India judicial system will be highly useful. So apart from that, we have to think from the perspective of corruption. So tackling corruption and nepotism is also possible. So as of now, the current appointment procedure is having the inbuilt capacity for nexus. So executive judiciary nexus is possible and politico judiciary nexus is possible. The appointment can be possible because of this nexus. So if you are introducing this All India Judicial Service, such corruption and nepotism can be removed by ensuring the transparency in the recruitment mechanism. Apart from that, we are conducting merit-based selection. So conducting rigorous merit-based selection process attracts the best legal talents from across the country, and also restoration of public faith will also be there. So here, this particular system is bringing transparency in the recruitment process, which means people can able to visualize the recruitment process, that it is not tampered, it is based on the meritorious aspect. In this aspect, we can bring the public trust. So that is possible. So these are some of the favorable arguments for having All India Judicial Service. And arguments against All India Judicial Services are local law variations. Yes, we have laws for different states. So some subjects we have the legislations, the states are given authority to create their own legislations. So in this aspect, local variation in the law will be there. So we need nuanced local details in order to deliver the justice. So in this All India Judicial Service, there is a possibility of inefficiency, and delivering unjust ruling is also possible if the particular judge is not aware about the local differences. And second aspect, language barrier. So communication is very important. So proficiency in the regional language is very important. So the judges from different linguistic backgrounds in the states will hinder the effective communication, which means it will hinder the delivery of the justice as well. And also opposition from the High Court is also there. So we have to highlight that 9 of India's 25 High Courts expressed opposition to All India Judicial Services. So here the consensus of the High Court is very much important. So here they are fearing that the loss of autonomy will be there. So in this aspect, the High Court are showing opposition to have such recruitment procedures. Finally, there is a possibility of potential center-state conflict because state may view this initiative as an encroachment upon its authority over the administration of justice. So possibility of having center-state conflict is also possible. So these are the areas which we can cite as an opposing argument for All India Judicial Service. So apart from that, we have to think from the perspective of precondition. What are the things which we have to work before bringing All India Judicial Service? The first thing is about the status of legal education. In order to bring All India Judicial Service, the quality of the legal education has to be improved. So as of now, the standard is very poor. So we have to think about the standardization of legal education first before bringing All India Judicial Service. And apart from that, we have to address the problem of unremunerative pay. So attracting and retaining the qualified talents through All India Judicial Challenge may be an issue because the existing remuneration practices are not that attractive in nature. So these are the areas which we have to work before implementing All India Judicial Service. So these two can be presented as an argument against All India Judicial Service. So now we have to know about the way forward. So designing an effective All India Judicial Service model is very much needed. Yes, even though All India Judicial Service is having inbuilt negative or inbuilt disadvantages, arguments against the such recruitment process, we have to bring a effective system to counter such disadvantages. So that should be there. And also we have to address the issues such as pay scale transfer, and also issues related to the career growth. And also we have to think about ensuring the meritocracy. So selection, the comprehensive training program has to be fixed carefully. So we have to think from the perspective that the judges who got selected should get trained adequately from the aspects of local law and local nuances that has to be thought carefully. And also this measure, this judicial reform of All India Judicial Service has to be brought in urgency, because we have to consider, we have to think from the perspective, from the issue of pendency of cases. All over India, there is a huge backlog of cases in the judiciary. So bringing such reforms will address the problem of pendency of cases in Indian judicial system. Coming to the next article, we have Modi to take part in World Climate Action Summit in Dubai this week. So exam point of view, we can expect some questions related to the outcome related to COP28, and also we can expect some question related to the Panchamarth commitment done by India, right? Apart from that, we can also expect question related to nationally determined contributions. We also had a previous question with reference to the agreement at UNFCCC meeting in Paris in 2015. Which of the following statement is correct? Agreement was signed by all the members of the countries of UN and it will go into effect in 2070. So all the members, extreme statement, and also we have to think about the year as well. And also the agreement aimed to limit the greenhouse gas emission so that the rise in average global temperature by the end of this century doesn't exceed 2 degrees Celsius or even 1.5 degrees Celsius above the pre-industrial level. So it seems correct. And developed countries acknowledge their historical responsibility of global warming and commitment to donate 1,000 billion. Yes, still a question mark. From 2020 to help developing nations to cope up with the climate change. So select the correct statements. So that is the question. So we want to select the correct statement. So first statement is wrong and third statement is also wrong. So option is bombing, 2 only. So this was a question asked previously. So similarly, we can expect some question related to the Panchamarth commitment, and also we can expect question related to NDC commitment. So that is possible. That's why we are discussing this article. So moving to the context. So November, this month end, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will visit Dubai from November 30 to attend the World Climate Action Summit. And it will be presided by United Arab Emirates, and it will be conducted between November 28 to December 12. So this is the context of this article. So from this context, we have to know about India's commitment, and also we have to know about the COP28 significance, and also we have to know about NDC commitment, right? So what is the significance of COP28 meeting? So it is a platform, COP itself, Conference of Parties meeting itself, a platform for global collaboration in addressing the climate change. So high level political consensus will be built through such COP meetings. So this is the general idea. Apart from that, so especially this Dubai COP, that is COP28, is known for first ever global stock take, right? It means it is the first time we are going to assess the implementation of NDC commitment by the countries. So we are going to assess the performance of the climate related interventions after Paris Agreement. So that's why it is significant. So steps taken by India, COP26 2021, that is Glasgow meeting. India committed with the 5-point agreement, that is Panchamrit commitment. So here we have to highlight two things. One is carbon emission, and here carbon emission targets will be achieved through. So in terms of carbon emission, we are having 3 targets, and also in terms of energy conversion, we having 2 targets. So first carbon emission target by 2070. So India have to achieve the target of net zero emission. So we have to emit, or we should not emit any carbon after 2070. So that is the overall long-term objective in terms of carbon emission. And also we are having 2 carbon emissions targets. One is with respect to the percentage and another one is with respect to the absolute number. So this is percentage, that is reduction of carbon intensity by 45% by 2030 over 2005 levels. So which means previously in 2005, if in order to produce 1 unit of electricity, we might emit 100 units of carbon. So what we have to do by 2030, so that 100 units has to be reduced to 43 units. So this is the commitment given in terms of percentage, and as a absolute number we have to reduce the carbon emission of 1 billion tons from now to 2030. So between 2022 to 2030, 1 billion tons of carbon has to be reduced. The emission has to be reduced. So long-term number, that is net zero emission by 2070, and then percentage. So we have to reduce the carbon intensity to 45% by 2030. And then in terms of absolute number, we have to reduce, that is between 2022 to 2030, we have to reduce the emission of 1 billion tons of carbon. So 3 targets in terms of carbon emission, right? Apart from that, in terms of energy conversion, we have to reach 500 gigawatts of fossil fuel energy capacity by 2030, and also 50% of its energy requirements from the renewable energy by 2030. Non-fossil fuel commitment, that is absolute number of 500 gigawatt, and then by 2030 we have to have the renewable energy capacity of 50%. So 5 commitments, right? And also we also committed for life mission, which is lifestyle for environment. So it is nothing but a mass movement to create awareness about the environmental conscious living. So thoughtfulness, we have to bring thoughtfulness in using or in the consumption to reduce the emission. So by creating the emission, we have to change the lifestyle of the people. So by changing the lifestyle of the people, we have to reduce the carbon emission. So this is also committed in 2022. So next we have to know about the NDC commitment. So it is nothing but the nationally determined contributions. So that are very much important from the Paris Agreement. We committed for the long-term goals in order to achieve the emission reduction. So that is there. So India, so we majorly concentrate on 3 aspects: emission reduction, emission intensity reduction, and also share of non-fossil fuel in installed electricity capacity, and also in terms of carbon sink. So in 2015, we agreed for 33 to 35% from 2005 level, but in 2022, so we updated the NDC to 45% from the 2005 level. So in terms of progress, we already achieved 24%. So that is there. And in terms of share of non-fossil fuel in the installed electricity generation capacity, we aspired for 40%. Now it was updated to 50%. So in terms of progress, we already reached 41.5% this year, right? Apart from that, in terms of carbon sink, that is in order to reduce the carbon emission, that is creation of 2.5 to 3 billion tons of additional sink through the afforestation. So there is no change in the carbon sink aspect. So already mentioned the number, that is 2.5 to 3 billion tons of additional sink has to be created. So this aspect, the assessment of its progress is still unclear. That we have to know. So to what an extent we have increased the capacity in terms of carbon sink, which we have to know. And apart from that, we also took some other initiatives on this line. So first one is Resource Efficiency and Circular Economy Industry Coalition. So it is a commitment given by the industries launched in India's G20 presidency. So it is an industry-driven initiative to promote the global resource efficiency. So resource efficiency we are aspiring for. How we are going to do is through the circular economy. So that is the idea. So attaining resource efficiency by using the circular economy is the objective of this mission, right? So circular economy is a model of production, consumption which involves sharing, leasing, reusing, repairing, refurbishing and recycling the existing material, which means we are reducing the increase in production. We are utilizing the same products without creating the demand for the new products. So in this aspect, we are reducing the carbon emission. So apart from that, India also initiated the Global Biofuel Alliance. It was launched in G20 2023 with the aim to boost the supply as well as demand of biofuels. So biofuels are made of organic material, and these biofuels are very important because in the energy transition it is very important because it is considered as one of the lower emission fuel option. So in the energy transition, we can consider the role of biofuels in moving towards the higher clean energy. So that we have to understand. Coming to the next article, we have over 93,240 crores of stressed unsecured loans in bank portfolio. So exam point of view, we can expect question related to the special mention accounts, SMA 0, 1 and 2. And also we can expect question related to the concept of unsecured personal loans. So coming to the context, the banks are sitting over the huge stress that over 93,242 crores of unsecured loans are in the special mention account. So the number is huge. So there is a possibility that this 93,000 crore will end up as a NPA. There is a possibility. And also we have to know about the number that this is almost 7% of overall unsecured loans given to the economy, that was infused into the economy, that is 13.32 lakh crore. So this SMA itself accounts 7%. So conceptually we have to know about unsecured loans, right? So here in terms of lending, in terms of giving loans, we have to know about two things. We have two different kinds of customers. One is prime customer and another one is subprime customer. So prime customer, so here the risk of getting loans back, risk of repayment, issues in the repayment is comparatively low. So risk is comparatively low when it comes to the prime customers, whereas with respect to the subprime customers, the risk is comparative. So that for the prime customers, the interest rate will be comparatively low, whereas for the subprime customers, the interest rate will be comparatively high. So this is the difference between two things, that is prime customers and subprime customers. The loans which we are giving to the subprime customers is what we called as unsecured loan. So this is the conceptual understanding behind the unsecured loans, right? So now we have to know about the SMA. So what are special mention accounts? So these are category of loans that exhibit the sign of financial stress. So there is a possibility that it already experiencing the problem of delay in repayment, right? and also it has to be considered as early warning system to identify that it is possible to convert such SMAs into a NPA. So that is also possible. So possibility of converting it into a non-performing asset is also possible. So we have to take timely action in terms of loan default. Apart from that, the classification is based on the duration of the overdue of the payments and also other indicators of potential credit risk. So majorly it is because of the number of days. So here we are classifying into three. So SMA 0, SMA 1 and SMA 2. So SMA 0 is about if the principal or interest payment or any other amount wholly or partly overdue up to 30 days. 0 to 30 days, if it is overdue, then it is considered as SMA0. If it is overdue between 30 to 60 days, it is considered as SMA1. And if it is due between 60 to 90 days, it is considered as SMA2. Right? If the overpayment or delay in payment is overdue for more than 90 days, then we are considering it as NPA. Normally, this is the condition. Right? So this is about special mention accounts. Now let's try some of the prelims practice questions. With reference to the India's Panchamrit targets at COP26, consider the following statements. So first statement, reach 500 gigawatt energy capacity from non-fossil fuels by 2030. Yes, it is correct. Second statement, 50% of its energy requirements from renewable energy sources by 2030. Yes, it's correct. Third statement, reduction of carbon intensity of the economy by 45% by 2030 over 2005 level. That is also correct. And fourth statement, achieving the target of net zero emission by 2070. It is not 2050, it is 2070. The fourth statement is wrong. So answer, so only three statements are correct. So answer is C. Coming to the second question, which of the following statements are true about special mention accounts? Banks are required to identify the sign of financial stress in loan account before they become before NPS. So first statement is correct. Second statement, SMA 0 is a category of SMA where loan repayment are not overdue for more than 30 days, but the account exhibits sign of potential. Yes, it is correct. They little played with the language, but the statement is correct. Third statement, SMAs form an integral part of NPS. No, it is wrong. So SMAs are not NPS. So it is the condition are overdue before considering it as NPS. So third statement is wrong. Fourth statement, public sector bond SMAs have come down drastically in 2023. No, it is wrong. So only the first and second statement is correct. So option is C, 1 and 2 only. Yes, answer C is correct. Coming to the next question, consider the following statements with respect to the decentralized autonomous organizations. They are governed by smart contracts. Yes. On blockchain technology. Yes. Which operate without centralized control. Yes, it is correct. They establish self-sustaining community-driven entities governed by smart contracts. Yes, first statement and second statement is correct. Third statement, it introduced code-based governance that minimize the need for intermediaries. Yes, third statement is also correct. Fourth statement, they offer transparent, democratic and self-executing governance model. This is also correct. So it is a conceptual question. All these statements are correct. So answer is D. All four statements are correct. Yes, answer is D. So next question. So it is a match the following question. So we have to match the agency with the mandate. So first one is National Investigation Agency. So here, so its mandate is Specialized Counter-Terrorism Law Enforcement Agency. So yes, we created in 2008 to exclusively to combat the terrorism related activities. So 1C, so NAT grid, it involves in collecting and collating a host of information. So 2 is B. And third one, multi-agency center. It collects the information from all other agencies and it will share. So share of intelligence input among various agencies. So 3 is Delhi. And fourth one, National Security Guard. Yes, it was established in 1984 as an elite counter-terrorism force in India. So 4 is Bombay. So 1 is C, 2 is A, 3 is D, and 4 is Bombay. So choose the correct option. So answer is Bombay. 1 is C, 2 A, 3 Delhi, and 4 Bombay. Yes, answer is Bombay. Right? Next, we are also having one mains practice question. Critically analyze the proposed All India Judicial Service in the light of arguments presented in favor and against its implementation. So the question demanded us to present both the arguments. So why it is needed, why it is not. So both the arguments we have to present it in a balanced manner. So first we can start the question by briefly giving introduction about the concept of All India Judicial Service and its proposed role in the judicial system. So the introduction. Second body part, we have to start with the arguments. So here we can start with the efficiency and effectiveness of judiciary. So how this All India Judicial Service will increase the effectivity and efficiency of the judicial system. And also we have to mention how it streamline the recruitment process, how it will attract the top talents, and how it will ensure the uniformity in the selection procedures that we have to highlight. So this we can highlight for the supporting argument, and as a opposing arguments we can present the potential possibility of eroding states' autonomy over judiciary, and also we can quote that the high courts are opposing for such judicial reforms, that we can highlight. And apart from that, we have to mention that so there will be an issue of local law variation. So we need the regional local laws, the cultural context has to be taken care. For that we need the recruitment from the state itself, that we have to highlight. And also language barrier has to be highlighted. So because judiciary has to be delivered in their mother tongue, so then only actual justice will be provided. So those things we can present as a argument against the All India Judicial Service. And apart from that, try to take a balanced stand. As a conclusion, what we can say is that even though we have negatives of implementing All India Judicial Service, we can increase or we can show that the merits of having such services will improve the efficacy of the judiciary. So we can take a stand and then we can conclude. So that's the end of the session. Thanks for watching. Do like, share and comment the video, and don't forget to subscribe our channel. Thank you.